Well, hello there. How is everyone doing on this hump day? Whew, have you had a coffee? I'm on my first cup, but I'm sure it's going to be a 2-cup coffee day for me. Hey, today's show is all about you. You have gifts. You need to be seen and heard and talked about in a good way, right? And what's the best way to do that in 2021? Well, you're seeing one of them right now. Going live, using live video to get your name out there, to get your message out there. You need to create a show or up-level your show and create a community around that. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Fain Brandt, Chief Inspiration Officer at the LinkedIn Bakery and the host of this show, Bite-Sized Tips for Busy Entrepreneurs, where I bring on savvy business professionals who have all the tips and tricks and trends in their industry to help you grow and scale your business easily. Today, I'm so excited for my guest, Russ Johns from the Pirate Broadcasting. And I want a pirate hat or an eye patch and say, "Arr, matey." Did I do that okay? He's going to be telling you what that name means. It's very interesting, so stay tuned. And I also found out he lives close to me. I'm so excited that there's a social media live streamer that is close enough to me that we are going to meet up for pizza and beer really soon as it's safe, of course. So in this episode today about live streaming and getting your message out there, we're going to be talking about how to book guests for your show. It's easier than you think. And you know what? I'm sure he's going to talk about how I was on his show and he's on my show. It's super easy, you guys. We're going to talk about how to create systems because we don't want you to be overwhelmed. I've been live streaming for 3.5 years. And at the beginning, it was clunky and it was a mess and I'd forget things. But now I have SOPs set up. And how to develop, create, and nurture a community that wants to engage and watch your live shows. I'm so excited to bring him on in just 1 minute. But first, you guys, a big shout out to the sponsor of this show. I need a button, Russ. I got to get a button for sound effects. Our sponsor of this show is StreamYard. That's how we're going live on multiple platforms and multiple profiles. It's as easy as hitting a button. Literally, you guys, it's a click of the button and you're live. So, and you can do the intro videos. I'm going to be dropping my link over in the comments in just a moment. So if you want to check that out, please click on that link and give it a try. It's so easy. But you know, you guys, enough about the show and tools. We're going to talk about that. I just want to get our guest on the show. Don't you want the guest on the show? Let's bring him on now. Hello and welcome to Bite-Sized Tips for Busy Entrepreneurs. I am literally jazzed that you're on the show today. I'm also really jazzed that I met someone that's really close to me that we can go brainstorm and I can't wait to come and see your studio and geek out, talk about, equipment, programs, platforms. I know.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show, Mary. I know that you're a pirate, and we have pirate things that we're going to talk about. And all of the things that we're doing here on live streaming is something that is so easy for others to start up and get going, move forward in their business and make it matter. Do it with intent and just get out there and practice. Nobody starts perfect. So.
Yeah. So why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, how you got into this and, what you love about live streaming and producing?
Well, for those that don't know my story, I got into advertising in 1985. I was working on billboards and I was formerly a musician. I played drums professionally. And then in 87, I fell 3 stories. And that's what I tell people. I fell 3 stories to get in advertising. I shattered my arm, broke my arm, and I was in rehab and reconstruction and surgeries for almost 3 years, 2 years in rehab. And then I came back and got into the tech business and content creation, technology, and all of these things. And as I was developing these skills and business, back in Houston, I started teaching podcasting back in 2014 and got into live streaming with a platform called Blab. And experimenting with all these things, OBS and different technologies. And I used to live stream baseball games, high school varsity sports in Houston, and all these adventures. And piecing this all together actually allowed me to come to the point where I now have the Pirate Broadcast, which I host a guest every single day, 5 days a week on multiple platforms using StreamYard, just like yourself. And also I run the Pirate Syndicate, which has producers producing shows for other people as well.
That is amazing. So we literally just met last month via Zoom, right? Because it's not safe. We haven't met in person, but it's happening. But I kind of want to tell the story about how I've been following you. I'm like, who is this guy that broadcasts every morning at 7 a.m.? I'm seeing you on LinkedIn. You have great guests, and they're just guests sharing their story of what they do or what they've overcome. So it's very broad, and I would watch some people I would know and a lot of people I didn't. I was like, who is this guy? And I just loved your energy and commitment. And I was like, what's this Pirate Broadcasting? And so I reached out to you. I commented on a post or on a live show. Tip number 1, engage with the person that you want to get to know. So on LinkedIn, I was engaging on your live posts and stuff. And then that led to the Zoom call, led to me being on your show, you being on my show. And what I learned was what Pirate Broadcasting means. Can you tell our viewers what that actually means?
Yeah, absolutely. In the broadcasting world, if you are broadcasting a signal out of a tower or transmitter and you are not licensed, you are considered a pirate broadcaster. And with the technology we have today and this live streaming community and the podcasting community and everything else, you have the tools, the technology, and the techniques to actually broadcast your message. You are the brand, you are the media, and you have a message and a gift that you can share. So step outside the box and be a pirate broadcaster, because you don't need permission from anybody now. So you get out there. I love
that. So I want to give a shout out because we've got a bunch of people in my Facebook group, the LinkedIn Bakery, watching, and over on LinkedIn. So Mel, hello, dear. I'm so glad that you could join us this morning. And David, I got your email last night. I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to reply to that yet, but I'm glad you found the show. And then we've got Antonio watching from Portugal. That's pretty exciting. One of the things I love is that we can build this, international community with a live show. And there's 3 things that we're going to go over today. So I want to make sure we get to those because I know you're on a tight time schedule because you're just like cranking out shows, every day, multiple shows a day. But we want to talk about how to book guests for your show, right? So this show isn't, you guys, this show is not about the tools, like the tech tools like StreamYard and all that. But if you have any questions on that, I want to encourage you to see if I can do this right. Oh, look at that. The first time I got it right. To contact Russ or myself, right? Message us. I prefer LinkedIn. What platform do you prefer?
I book almost all of my episodes through a platform called Dub. And it's a video messaging platform that I use in LinkedIn messaging. I use it in email. I use it. Ruben and the team over at Dub, I've had them on the show. I've been on their show. I've taught workshops for them. I've taught workshops for people on how to actually engage in the community, how to stay and nurture and just build a community, actually. And video is part of that. It's a huge part of that. So between StreamYard and Dub, I mean, it's a magic combination that I love and I continue to promote in every sense of the word.
I love it. So David's got his peppermint tea. David, I just finished my vanilla latte that I made. It's going to be
my smiles are free.
I love that. We'll talk after the show. I want some branded stuff, so I've got to figure out who I'm going to buy that from. So let's talk, Russ. People that want to do a live show, they're not quite sure. I know I started my live show. It was just me, literally just me, the talking head. I did 3 episodes and I was like, it felt weird to me. So I started the interview process. I love having other experts on my show so we can help you guys grow your business. So Russ, how does someone go about finding and scheduling, how do we go about booking guests on our shows? How do you do it? I know how I do it, but how do you do it?
I always have an opportunity where I come across, people that I just find interesting. And you ever have that opportunity where you see somebody online, you say, I bet they would be an interesting conversation it'd be an interesting conversation to have somebody there. And I just reach out to them. I engage with their posts. I engage with what they're doing, just like we did. And it's a very simple process. I think a lot of people make it much too complicated. I've helped people produce their shows where they're saying, I can't get the guests. Nobody's responding to my inquiry to be on the show. And what happens, just like learning an instrument or being a musician, people think, well, I want the results they're getting. And they're looking at people that have been in the business for years and doing this thing for a while. I've been doing this for a while now. And so you just have to start where you are and reach out to some people, practice, get used to asking people to be on your show, build a process that allows them to easily book a time for your show. I use Calendly, and then I use a tool called ClickUp that, I go through a process, and a simple process that it's a task-based, and build like you said, SOW, your scope of work that allows you to be able to book people easily, notify them that the show is in process, notify them when it's ready, send them a link, and remove the friction from the process. And the smoother you can make that process, the more people are excited about being on your show. It's not confusing. It's easy to access. That the experience is great, and they tell other people. And then all of a sudden, after you do it for a while, people start reaching out to you and say, hey, I would love to be on your show, Mary. I think I could add a lot of value to your community. What do you need from me to be on your show?
That is so true. And I'd like to interject that I love when people reach out to me to be on my show, but I also, for my show, right, it's for entrepreneurs, right? So if the message or if the topic is not something that my community needs, it's not that I don't like you or like what you do, but it just might not be right for my community. Because I have had a couple people reach out and the topic just wasn't something, or at that time, it wasn't something that my community would benefit from. So, because my show is themed, right? It's topic. It's very topic related. So we have somebody said, oh, it's Mel. Russ, don't you find regular people are so much more fun to speak with than the well-known, highly polished people? Amen. I think so. I like talking to the regular old folk, but I also, when you say the highly polished people, I know some people that are highly polished, like Stephanie Liu. She's the one who got me to do this show, but she's also fun and down to earth. So I think, finding that balance of I think it's good to have all different types of people on your show.
Well, and here's the magic is that if you create a show that you can actually engage in and you're excited about, then what happens is you have an opportunity to have conversations that you would like to have in real life. You just happen to be having them on a show. And so whatever you do when you're content creating or in your producing outcomes, you just have to enjoy the process. It doesn't need to become work. It doesn't need to become a chore. It doesn't need to become a task. Just allow yourself to enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, and make it matter, because you can find something interesting in a lot of different people once you have a conversation with them. Have a conversation and pull those interesting artifacts from the message. And anyone can be adding value at any number of corners, and the opportunity you have it's like pull the thread, find that interesting fact. Everybody has a gift. And so you just have to go after it as a host. You have to find out what that is.
I love that. Your gift is showcasing others on your show. Your gift is lifting others up and helping them, you know, discover, to be able to be seen and be heard and be talked about. I feel like that really is your gift, because you do it 5 days a week, relentlessly at 7 a.m. You guys, if you're not following him, please follow him over on LinkedIn and tune into some of his broadcasts. You guys, if you can see that I'm asking some questions on the scroll on the bottom. So I'd love for you to jump in and tell me, do you have a live show? Yes or no? Do you bring guests on? We have Violet Rainwater joining us. I think that you know Violet.
Yes, absolutely. How are you doing,
hello.
Violet?
So Violet and I know each other from San Diego, and we're actually collaborating and kind of helping each other out on a couple projects. Cool. So how to book guests, you guys, you engage. Go look at people. I go to LinkedIn or Facebook, and I look at what people are doing. What's their message? Who do they serve? Is that a topic? Do they have a skill set or a message that my audience would benefit from? And then I comment, you know, on their posts or their live show that they do. Like Violet's going to be on my show at the end of March talking about sales. Ooh, that's a hot topic these days. And she's amazing. But talk, you know, do the engagement part and then take that offline. I think that's the step that people miss, is taking it offline. Like, you can't just book me and I'm going to show up. You've got to talk to me. You've got to have a conversation offline, like via Zoom or phone. And talk to me about what your mission is and what are you looking for me to bring to the table. I actually have to have a conversation before I'll go on a show, and I do the same with my guests. How about you? Do you have a conversation, or do you just book them because you're doing 5 a week?
There's many guests that I've never had a conversation with before. And the reason why I do it this way is because it's like having a conversation in the line at you're in line at the grocery store or something. You practice the conversation and you practice asking questions that people are interested in having a conversation around. And just the idea of learning something new from someone you've never met is kind of exciting to me. Years ago, I was in I sold office supplies. I delivered office supplies. And I'd go through these industrial districts, and I'd always be curious about, I wonder what that business does. You know, they have a name on the building and they're doing something, they're creating something, delivering something. And so I'd walk in and I'd ask them, what do you do? What is it that you manufacture? What do you build, or what do you supply or source? And it's the same thing with people. Be curious, ask questions, allow them to expand on the ideas in the conversation. And it's just amazing where you can go with these conversations when you start asking people about themselves.
I love that. Hey, my girl, Amy Iron joined us from San Diego. What's up, Amy? I can't wait to drop by and see you when I'm in San Diego the end of the month. She said 5 shows per week. Wow. I'm like, right? That's why I was following him, Amy. I'm like, how does this man do it? What's the purpose? And Amy says, I've learned so much from all the Coaches Go Social episodes. I love learning about other people and their stories. I think that's a great point. It's all about the story. People can relate to you, right? When you're telling a story, and people learn from stories more so than reading a textbook. I feel like I can really learn when I'm hearing the story of why you do what you do or how it's done. So speaking of that, we've talked about how to book guests. Simply engage. Don't overthink it. Reach out to someone, engage with their post, their live show, send them a message, and then take that offline. For me, that's my advice. Take it offline and have a phone conversation or a Zoom call. And then how to create systems. Definitely, Amy, you have SOPs, don't you? Violet, do you have SOPs? You got to have your SOPs set up for your show. Contact the guest, book the guest, send them a questionnaire. Like I sent you my Google Doc. You did the same for me, but you used, was it ClickUp?
I used Calendly.
Calendly.
Yeah.
So, you know, to obtain all the assets and information that you need so that you can create the description and the title of the show. And then you have to have the promotion of the show. So you need to have those steps outlined, and it's the same for every show. So take a little time, set that up in the beginning. And I really like, I have to say, Russ, I really like that I got like 3 emails from you, right? Like, can't wait to be on the show. I know it's all systemized, and that's fine, but I like that. And so we're actually changing the way we do it, where I want additional emails going out to my guests. Like, hey, can't wait to have you on the show. You know, I send a calendar link and then send that email with, here's the StreamYard link, because we actually have to share this, but we can't do it at the beginning. We can only create the live link like 7 days before. So then an email goes, and then always that reminder, like, can't wait to see you tomorrow at 9 a.m., you know, with a link again. So I like that. I really, I think that that's important. Amy says, oh yeah, SOP is one of the main thing I teach in my course. My girl's got a course coming out. So that's amazing. I'm just trying to make sure I see all of the comments on all of the platforms, because we're broadcasting everywhere. So Russ, what would you say about how do you develop and nurture a community? What are your tips on that?
Well, I for me personally, I like the idea of sharing content that's going to be able to inspire, motivate, and engage with the community. The danger of everything that we do online is that it does take time, and anything that you can do to build a process that works for your schedule, your ability to engage, and your opportunity. A lot of times I will engage in the community. That's why I love live streaming, is you can actually have a conversation with people that show up, and you can actually recognize that they're there. And a lot of people, you know, you could follow up later on in the comments for future episodes. A lot, especially when you're streaming to multiple platforms, you have an opportunity to have a conversation and go back in the comments and reply. And it doesn't have to be all day, all at once. You can actually do this over time. And the reality is that your tribe and your community will find a way to meet and greet you at your level. And you, just as a responsible party and part of your business process, you may make sure that you have an opportunity to continue to add value every single day. Add value, return that engagement to the degree that you can, and make sure that you stay involved and engaged in the community. When you're ready to, and you tell people you're going to show up, show up.
Right? Show up. So Amy has a great question. Do you gather reviews for your show? If so, how? So Amy, are you saying, like, do we ask people to review the show?
Well, let's dive in a little deeper, because every time I have a show, and every show, after the show is over, it converts into a podcast. So my podcast is on Pandora, Spotify, Apple, you know, all of the, where all fine podcasts are sold. That's where you'll find me. And so on the podcasting platform, it does take time and effort and energy to actually get reviews. Now, I use a platform called Podchaser, and there's a lot of different platforms. I'm on a community called Windjet Studios. That's a network of podcasters that are doing some great work out there. So podcasting is one great way. This year, my initiative is to grow my YouTube channel so I have more subscribers. You know, it's just, I've got, over 700 videos on my YouTube channel, and I've never really attempted to engage and really promote that as much as I could. So those are all areas that you have to actually spend time and attention to grow and develop. So getting reviews is one way to expand that. And here's the other thing, Mary, it's really great to be able to take individuals that have been on your show previously and repost it in the future and say, hey, this was a great episode for this reason. And you can actually, people forget that, I've got hundreds of shows I could actually put out there again and again in the social media and different platforms and test and evaluate and see what works.
I like that idea. We do a repurposing of the show. We create 2 pro tips from the show. And so, from this show, I already put 1 or 2 in the comments, and we'll say pro tip, and we'll put that out on an image, and then we'll link to the YouTube channel. Because one thing for me too this year is investing in the YouTube channel, but that takes resources, time and money. Yeah. And so that's not till later this year, as I have other things going on. But Amy, I hope that answered your question. I don't know how you would get reviews on, so Amy's show, Amy, you're going live on LinkedIn too now, right? I think she has access to LinkedIn Live. Okay. So how would you get reviews? I guess you could ask guests to recommend it. Or you could ask people to review. You'd actually have to ask people to review your show, because I don't think that they're naturally going to go to Facebook and review the show, or LinkedIn and give you a
the value of YouTube. That's the value of being on YouTube, is that you can like and get notified. You can subscribe to the channel, and you can share, the episode. The other thing that I think would be a really tech tip and a pro tip in LinkedIn, if you're doing LinkedIn Live, is create a business page for your show and then invite people to that page.
Just for the show?
Yeah, for the show.
Because I have 2 business pages. So you're saying I should create bite-sized tips for busy entrepreneurs?
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Well, that's one more, but what the heck? I do create an event and I invite people that way.
Yeah.
I'll have to think about that.
It's an opportunity. However, with that being said, you have to realize everything that you do like that will take time and energy. So you can narrow your focus and get very, laser focused, or you can reach broad and look at your audience in the way that you approach that. So, and, it's like anything else, test it and evaluate what works. So
I think that's great advice. You guys test things out. Evaluate it, follow, get the analytics, but you've got to test it out more than a month. So Russ does a show Monday through Friday, 7 a.m., right? Monday through Friday?
Arizona time.
Arizona time. Mountain Standard Time. That's my time zone too now. I do a show twice a month, right? So we do bite-sized tips for busy entrepreneurs only twice a month. Some people have a weekly show. What Russ and I want to share with you is pick what works for you. I couldn't do a daily show. That would be like hair and makeup every day. And that's just not happening. Okay. And that's just, for me, that's not what I want to do. Some people do a weekly show. I think that's great. Some people do a monthly show, but pick what's going to work for you and then be consistent, and know that don't do it for a month or 2 months. To actually get some analytics, you're going to have to do it for 3 months and figure out what's working, and then test new things. Don't be afraid. Don't have your toe in the water. I want you to jump in the water. Jump in the lake. Don't put the toe in the water. Just jump in, start streaming, gather some guests up, and just, start. The pro tip that I got from you, the first one was start where you're at. Yep. I think that we all need to remember we're at different phases in our business. We have different business models, different goals for the year, and that we need to start wherever we're at. I think that is golden. Thank you for sharing that nugget. So anything else that you want to share before we start rounding up, you guys? We have a new section of the show. It's called This or That. So that's coming up with Russ, where I ask this or that, and the guest has to answer with one of the words that I throw out to them. He doesn't know what they are. So this is a lot of fun and a way to kind of get to know the guests on a fun level. I won't embarrass you. So Russ, 2 things. Anything else that you want to share about, getting seen, being heard, and being talked about? And then also, where do you want people to connect with you? What platform is your platform of choice?
Yeah, the biggest message I can say is be consistent. Start where you are, practice, be consistent, enjoy the journey, and just add value at every turn. That's what the message is.
And okay, what platform? How do you want people to connect with you? Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, email?
LinkedIn.
High five. High five. Yes.
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
I still have a few slots left before I hit 30K. So
I'm being really picky and growing my network very strategically. So you have to send me a message, right? Don't just hit the connect button. Send a personalized message with the message to either myself or to Russ. Say, hey, I saw you on Bite-Sized Tips for Busy Entrepreneurs with Mary. I'd love to get connected with you. Or maybe you're a remote live producer and you want to, chat with Russ about opportunities. Please connect with him over on LinkedIn. Okay, so now it's to the fun part. Thanks for all that information. So, nurturing your community, how to reach out to your guests, and setting up your procedures, your SOPs. Russ and I both use ClickUp. I will drop a link in the comments afterwards, and I think Amy might use it too. Okay, so questions. I'm going to skip the first one because I kind of told you that before. So coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Football or baseball? Ooh.
Baseball.
Flip-flops or boots?
Flip-flops.
Mountains or beaches?
Mountains.
Ooh, wine or whiskey?
Ooh.
Or water? I'll give you three. Not everyone drinks wine. Okay, I'll take that answer. Rock and roll or country music?
Rock and roll.
Sweet. That is like the overwhelming response from all my guests so far. Pizza or cheeseburgers?
Ooh. Pizza.
That's my husband. I don't know what my husband would say. Okay, and we're gonna end with Hawaii or Ireland. Where would you go on an all-paid trip?
Ireland.
Sweet. That's my choice.
Yeah, I haven't been there. I've been to Hawaii, so.
Yeah, I haven't been to Ireland, and we were supposed to go last year, and then we all know what happened. Corona came, shut down the world. Well, you guys, thank you. I should play that song. Thank you guys for joining us today on this episode of Bite-Sized Tips for Busy Entrepreneurs on being seen, being heard, and being talked about in a good way. Now, I want y'all to go out and share this video if you haven't done it, because I want to be talked about. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. Let's all help each other. Spread the love. There's enough business for all of us. So don't be greedy. Go ahead and share this. Let's help someone else. And remember to connect with my friend Russ over here. He is amazing. And I'm going to challenge you all to reach out to 3 people this week to book them on your show. And then you know what? Drop that in LinkedIn. Tag me. I want to know what action you took from tuning into this show. Okay, awesome. You guys. Finally, last thing, you know what? I've got a new service that we launched. We did it last year to test it. So I'm doing a VIP intensive day. That's right, for LinkedIn. So if you are ready to level up your LinkedIn game and you don't want to work on it for months, because I do that too, we can get it all done in a half-day intensive. And I can even do that on a Saturday. So if you're working a job and you're working on your side hustle, let's just get that done. And we'll work on everything from your profile to your strategic connections to a 30-day content plan. So hit me up if that's something that you're interested in. We have a very introductory offer for you. So I'll post that later in the comments. Yeah, because some people don't want to do the long term. They're like, I just need to get it done and learn as much as I can. And then I'll come back to you when I'm all the way in. So that's one thing. And you guys, I'm going to leave you with a little video here. It's been so fun. We will see you in 2 weeks on the 3rd of March. I had to think. On the 3rd of March, I've got Katie Spellman talking about Facebook ads that are better than a Tom Hanks movie. What? That's crazy.